Welcome to the Model Car Hobby Podcast with your host, Luka C. Now here he is, Luka C. Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. How are you doing today? Welcome back to the Model Car Hobby Podcast. And I have got a super special guest, someone who I've been doing this show for like 3 years, and he was going to be my first guest. So, well, okay. So 3 years later, we got him on. Here he is, the one and only busiest guy in the hobby. That's why it's so hard to pin him down. My buddy and the guy who got me started with this YouTube stuff is my old pal. Which way are you? There. Andy from Andy's Hobby Headquarters. Thanks for coming on, bud.
Hello. Great to be on. I know we've been planning this forever, and I'm finally here. So
finally, yeah, we finally got our schedules to work correctly together, right? But I appreciate, man. I have been. I owe it to you to getting onto this. You were the one who was always going. You should start a YouTube. You should start a YouTube, and it really was it's turned into a great thing for me. And I have had the great privilege of watching your little shop grow, and then you get into the YouTube thing and grow with that, and how big it. We never imagined it when we talked about that stuff back then. And for everyone out there, this is kind of a really special time coming up, because in about a month or so, in April, is going to be Andy's 20th anniversary at the Glendale store. And it's the 20th anniversary. I pretty much walked in there that first week. Yeah. And for a quick funny story, this is perfect. Perfect start for our friendship that we got rolling over these past 20 years. I walk up to him. I thought I was a big deal. I had this resin casting company, and I go, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Matt. I'm from Lookout Model Car Products," or whatever it was called back then. And he looks at me in an Andy way and goes, "I never heard of you." And that's how it all started, and we've been friends ever since. But yeah, 20 years, guy. Can you believe that?
Yeah. And we were both a lot younger back then.
We were way lot. We were like in our 30s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we had more hair.
Yeah. I did have more in my 30s.
Yeah, you did. So it's been great. Like I said, it was this little tiny hobby shop. I've always told the goof that I drive by a hobby shop, a pretty well-established hobby shop, to go to yours. You've been my mainline place. But the big thing is, when you walked into the store, the shelves were always packed. Yeah, you were always a fun guy to hang out and talk with. We built up, all your customers became friends, and we all became kind of a group of friends. And so, something like a lot of people don't know. They know the Andy from now this big website that you have, and we'll get into that. And the fact that you've had your YouTube, you're going on how long with YouTube?
9 years. 9 years.
9 years. So
in July, 9 years.
Yeah. I mean, and I used to, when it was really kicking off, when we started seeing everybody wearing the shirts all over the world, I always would say to you, "You are the best known little hobby shop in the world." And you would go, "Oh, no. But you are, dude. Everybody knows you that's involved in the hobby of model building. And something I don't think a lot of people know is how you all got started in this. Like I met you 20 years at the Glendale store, and I say it's 20 years at the Glendale store. People don't realize you had Andy's Hobby Headquarters before that.
Yes.
And then you
did San Diego.
Yeah, and then you wanted us give it another shot when you came out here, and look what happened. You want to? I want to. Why don't you tell the story about that? It is a really cool story.
Well, I had owned a few other businesses in the past before I got into modeling again, and it was in '94. I was much younger then.
Yeah.
And in '94, I just sold my other business, and I was looking for something something fun, something that I wanted to enjoy doing. And I remember back when I was real little doing models with my uncle, and then when I got a little bit older, doing them with my brother. My brother's a little bit younger than me, and we would build models all the time. We'd go all over San Diego County looking at the different model stores. And I remember sitting there going, and I was talking to my dad. My dad was going to join me on this venture. And we both said, I want to do the model thing. And he thought that was a great idea. He did that when he was younger. And back then, there was no internet back then. So we opened up the business to business phone book. It used to, if you don't know what that is, it was a phone book for the country of all the businesses in it. Only businesses, no per.
Yeah.
And we just started looking up model wholesalers. And within a month, we had found a place in El Cajon, California, where we lived. And within a month, we had it set up in there. And it immediately started taking off, and we just loved it. And it was a fun thing because it was something I enjoyed doing at the time, and it was like, what a great thing to get involved with. So I had that store there for, I believe it was 8 or 9 years. 9 years, because
oh wow,
it was right after 9/11, all that, because we were still there when that happened, and the cost of living got crazy in California. So we decided, hey, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to move it to Phoenix. That store did get sold over there, but I just opened up a brand new one in Glendale, Arizona. So
same location.
Yep,
same a little bit bigger.
20. It's actually tax day, April 15th on tax day was the day we opened up, and 20 years ago now. So
and that's something. That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, and and the fact that in the era when everybody's saying the brick and mortar hobby shops are dying and you can't keep them open because the internet kills you. Well, I guess no.
Right. And the internet is definitely. I'm glad we have that. We have obviously we have a very large online presence. All of this came about because of YouTube for me. I mean, YouTube has been absolutely wonderful for me in that respect. And it did. So 9 years ago, July, I started YouTube. And I remember talking to you about it. Just like this. Remember, it was kind of like a lark. I was just like, I put that little video up on because people used to come in and ask me questions about modeling. And I would go, well, it's kind of hard for me to explain because, I don't have my airbrush set up. I don't have this set up. And I remember I made a little tiny, it wasn't even a video. It was a stills. It was a slideshow. In the early days, I didn't know what I was doing. It was stills of painting, I think, tiger wheels. And I did like a picture and then like a little description. And I put it on there and watched it for a little while. And that was back then. You put it on there, you didn't get any hits right away. It was like nobody was looking at it. But I came back a month later, and I remember this. I had 10 subscribers and 1,000 views. I went, what? So I immediately canceled that channel because it was not canceled, but it was my personal Andy Klein channel. So
right.
I immediately opened up Andy's Hobby Headquarters one and got rid of that video. I wish I still had that video somewhere. I tried finding it, but I can't.
I remember it. I remember.
Yeah, I remember showing it to you, and that was it. I started doing videos, and I just said I'm committing myself. I know now people are mad at me because I don't do as many build videos because I am very busy all the time doing other things. But in the beginning, I was knocking out 3 build videos sometimes a week to the point I was like, oh, I'm getting tired. But it grew the channel and we were, I was just thrilled with it.
Yeah, it sure did. It was amazing how fast it took off. But there still was, your regular store was still 11 years old at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you were still doing so good. You just had an excellent business model. But I remember, you and I, we always, I'm always over there hanging out, talking. We did a lot of business together when I had my resin casting. We always were doing business together. So we also kind of ended up having a little bit of a business relationship where we would talk about stuff. And I remember you always were kind of dipping into the internet and embracing internet. And you would start a website, try something here and there, and
just
fiddle around with it.
I never wanted it at the time because it was just me. I tried doing a little bit of it, and I would do more like mainline items.
Right.
It was before the days of the real big stores.
Yeah, exactly.
Online stores, right?
And
And
so,
I was happy just with that at the time because it was like,
oh, I know.
yeah, I can manage this.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was. I remember what you have right now. I remember us discussing like, would it be cool, man? I had this big warehouse, and we did all this online stuff and everything like that. It was kind of a thing that was in the back of your head. You talked
Right.
about even like that. So I think that was a big part of you. Didn't take the view as a brick and mortar mom and pop's shop going, oh, the internet's killing us. You were like, no, I'm going to use the internet to grow my business.
Right.
Which you doing all those different websites you did, and you and I did something together. I sold some kits of yours on my website. It was when you finally figured, when you got the YouTube thing and discovered that was something to really market your brand.
Yeah,
That was it took a little playing around. It took a little playing around, but you discovered the YouTube thing. And I just sat back and watched it happen. It was amazing.
Well, and that's what I started noticing is because when I started having people come into my store, now YouTube had been going for a few years because it took off okay in the beginning, but not as fast as it did later, a few years into it. It was good, but I started to notice when you started hitting plateaus, I got recommended more. And then the first time, people would come in and say, hey, I saw your YouTube videos. And they were from out of state, for example. And then when I started getting people from around the world that came in, I thought that was very, very. And then the first time someone asked for an autograph, I went home. I was like, my wife was like, "Oh my God, your head is going to get so big." I go, "No, I was so thrilled. It was so."
Yeah, that was.
It was strange, only because I'm like, "Who am I? I'm a nobody." And
you're just a guy.
Yeah, just a guy running a hobby store. And then the biggest thing came about when I was at IPMS Nationals, came to Phoenix in 19.
Yeah.
And things were my store was growing and growing. And then I met a bunch of very, very good people that helped just expand all of this. And now with and that person, his name is Harold, he owned Model Balkonig in Germany. And I met him there, and I've been dealing with his company, but we didn't know each other at all. And he invited me over to Germany, and we started talking. And he goes, "I got all these ideas with you." And then that's what spurred on. So we have a partnership with the online store because it's obviously this is a huge thing that we run together over there. And it was probably about 4 years ago. I started telling him he had just started the company Das Work just recently. And he makes model kits. And I kept telling him, hey, what'd be really cool is if you made a 16 scale Stug, but made it, because I knew 16 scale was getting popular, but there was only really one company making it, and it was super expensive. Like $400 or $500 a kit with full interiors. Most people kind of stay away from that. Not many people have money for $400 or $500 kits. That's what it is. And I told him, I said, what? Because the Stug was one of my favorite German vehicles. And I was kind of like putting a little hint to him. And he said, he didn't say much, but he goes, "Oh, that's a cool idea, And then about 9 months later, he shot me an email and he goes, "Here, look what I have for you. It's the CAD work." They had started developing it.
Yeah.
And it was so cool.
You were walking on a cloud.
Yeah, I was thought it was so cool that I had a little influence on the whole thing. And just minor, but it was partially because of me doing that. And by that time the online store over here in the US had opened up that we had, and the sales were phenomenal on that thing. And into that he goes, "You know what you should do? You should start your own little model company." And I was like, haha, yeah. He goes, "No, I'm serious." He said, "You have at this time now I knew all the manufacturers. I deal directly with them. They know who I am, even the YouTube." And he said, "You should do one." And I went, so I started thinking about it. And a couple months went by, and he said, "You should still do it." And so I reached out to Tapcom because I had a very good relationship buying their stuff from them already. And they were like, "Yeah, we, a lot of people don't understand that whole process, which I should even explain a little bit of that."
Yeah, go ahead.
Getting it is about a year long. So when I decide on a model kit right now, we kick it around for a few months, and that's not even part of the year. Once I actually sign the contracts and I tell them, look, this is what I want to have produced, it goes off to all of my kits are engineered and designed over here in the U.S. We have U.S. citizen guys that have access to the museums and everything else around here, and detail work that they can go and do measurements and get all the stuff done. And normally, the CAD takes anywhere from 4 to 6 months before I actually get any type of CAD work back to me. You remember, they haven't started cutting a single thing at this point. This has been, at that time, like 6 months. And then it goes to the guys over in Tacom's warehouse. And sorry about the phone there.
No problem.
It's during business hours in there, but
busy guy.
After the 6, let's say 5 to 6 months on that normal to get the CAD work done, I take a look at it. I go, yep, that's CAD work. Let's move on right there, because everything has got to go through me and get signed off on. But a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff I'm looking at CAD work. I go, yeah, that looks cool, and that's what I do. And then it goes to the mold makers, and the mold makers take usually about 3 to 4 months to get T1, and T1 is test shot 1. Test shot 1 does not have all the detailing on it. It is more or less a fit and finish type thing that makes sure everything's going to line up. And because I have such a good relationship with Tacom, the owner of that company over there builds one of my kits. So T1, because he's interested in that stuff too, and he sends me off the first test shot. And then I get a pile of sprues. He goes, how many do you want? Because I won't build it completely, because it's still a test model. I just start putting main components together to see how it fits. That's my big concern. And I see the one built, and I already know that it's going to fit, but I want to put it together myself. So I'll build a couple of those. Like I said, not videoing that. And then we have to start working on the decal sheets and about what kind of units we want in it. And then we have to start working on the instructions. Now, when I say I do the front of the instructions, with the verbiage, and actually, then the box art finally gets to me, and then I send that off. Actually, Jason does the artwork for me, and then the rest of the box is sent to my son, who actually knows how to do all that kind of stuff. He designs the actual rest of the box by putting the lettering in and float. He's good at Photoshop, so he puts the little figure floating in the corner, does all the other little stuff. And my wife does a lot with the instructions in the beginning of analyzing what's coming soon, and the little bio in the front. She helps me with all that. And then, of course, the artwork on the front of the instructions too. Yeah. So it's a lot of family members helping out with that. That's
cool. That is awesome.
And then usually about 2 months after that, I get like what the M8 Greyhound that I have right now. This is the stage we're at right now, where I have the actual final production model. I don't have decals for it yet, so I'm building it to just go, okay, I sign off on this, it's ready to go, you can start producing. And
I saw you putting that.
Yeah, when you were
all the suspension together the other day.
That's it. That's what. So I was looking at and asking you all the questions. Why would they have done this back then? Why would they have done this? Because it's very unusual suspension compared to what you find.
It's very strange. The one thing about these kits, like my show's primarily car guys, and a lot of car guys today do venture out into other stuff, but it's unbelievable the amount of really precise detail that is in these tank and armored vehicles that you've been putting out, especially like the most recent one, because the one that we're talking about is a scout vehicle, and it's a 6-wheeled vehicle. So it has a very automotive. It's a car kit. It's got I was looking at, I love suspension stuff. That's why, you were asking me my opinion. It's just like the suspension in that, the detail of it all was so beautiful. And so everything's there. Every nut and bolt, they're just knocking them out of the ballpark over there in the design.
And the steering works too on it. I mean,
just amazing.
All that stuff, and the wheels can spin the way they've designed it, and it is pretty amazing right there, that the detail that they can get in it. And so that's why
incredible.
a perfect example of that, when I said the full year process, I looked up my contract. I signed for the the M8 Greyhound in April of last year, and it should be arriving here in the U.S. about April. So that's
Yep.
why by the time I decide, okay, I'm going to make this jump into this vehicle, and that's another little thing. It's minor. So a lot of people will call it the TACOM vehicle, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, TACOM does my molding for me, but I promise you, this is all a venture of somebody headquartered that they would not be making any of these vehicles if I did not have
Yeah,
them made.
you are the driving force behind them. I watched the entire process. You know, I come
Yeah,
out.
you're there. You see it. Yeah.
I hang out so much over there. People think I work there, and I'm always wearing. You know, I always got a shirt on.
Absolutely.
But and I enjoy. You know, you're always excited and want to talk about it, and I love talking about this stuff.
Right.
It's interesting to me because I've been learning so much between you and then my friends over at Salvino's JR Models. I hear both of you kind of talking about the same stuff of how these model kits get produced. It's amazing. People, it's a heck of a process. And one thing I can tell, Andy's the driving force, and you're the idea guy. You come up with all that stuff. You test. You're the guy who does all the test fitting. It's like it's kind of neat. I've got what's that kid's name that lives here? Whoa. Felix has got a couple of the first shots of I think the Tiger take you gave him. Hey, he plays with those things. And what's interesting about those tanks that, you know, they're kind of put together, but there's like no detail on them yet. It's like just the basic. It's not the one that has. There's not a lot of rivets. There's not a lot of bolts. It's very.
Oh, well, no, bolts and rivets will be there. It's welds and textures.
Welds and texture. Yeah. They're very flat, and but it's very interesting because when I look at the tanks that Felix plays with, and when I see the final result, oh my goodness, it's like, oh, you're the Sherman, the cast turret.
Yep.
The detail in that is extraordinary.
Yep. And then I have to thank too. So because I have all these friends, the only reason this is possible because of the relationships I've made around the world with, whether it be TACOM or MBK, my friend in Germany who got me started on all this. He's also my worldwide distributor. So he has the ability to distribute to Australia, to all over Europe. And then we take care of North America ourselves over here. But and I actually have another friend from Canada, Lightspeed, that takes care of all our distribution for North America for actually hobby stores too. That if hobby stores want to get my products, hey, we'd love that. So we want to get it out to as many people as possible.
Oh yeah.
And that's the other thing too. That it's kind of funny. You and I talk about this. You're usually privy to what I'm doing way in advance before the general public because you're a friend and I trust you not to tell anybody. But I told you how once I decide on it, by the time I actually get the real model, it has been a full year.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. Don't get me wrong. I love the idea, but I'm excited because I have like right now, there are 3 other projects that we've started on that I can't unfortunately say anything yet until we make the announcement. But that's what my big excitement is right now. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, you got your new kit that's about to come out and it's been finalized, but your mind is on the kits that are coming out in the next year.
Right. And by the time the kit comes out, the guys on YouTube or anywhere else won't see it all the time, but I've usually built 2 or 3 of them already.
Yeah.
And not fully, and not usually painted, because once again, it's a matter of we want this thing to be the best fitting kit, etc. So it's like I'm excited about it, but I've known about it for a year. I've built 3 of them probably already, and I've got display cases in my warehouse and in my store. The store gets all the built and painted YouTube versions for customers to come in, but here in my warehouse up in the front, there is a big case that we have all the very first prototype that comes out.
So that's cool that you're keeping those and all that.
Yep. And that's where the wall is. Sometimes that see my channel will see the wall I have with all my artwork. So we're up
Yeah.
to the M8 Greyhound happens to be kit number 8. So we've got 8 kits out already in the last 2 years, and our goal is like usually like 4 to 5 max a year, usually closer to 4. So occasionally we'll throw a figure in there, that came out of another kit.
Yeah.
That special one that was my grandfather in World War II.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
I wanted to do that for him. So yeah, it's just things like that. But that's what I do. I pick vehicles that I'm interested in. So it's kind of a cool thing. Remember when we were younger, we'd say, "Oh, I wish they would make this," and now I get to decide for me.
Yeah.
What we get to make. Now, obviously, I got to make decisions based on is it going to sell, because I don't want to have thousands of these kits sitting in my garage. But
right, exactly.
But they're
still got to have a little business there.
But yeah, I know. Usually, a lot of times, what I like is what a lot of other people like too. So
yeah, well, you do. You're also very open to people's input. I mean, you're always. I mean, that's why you have such a heavy. I always have had pre-YouTube. Your store's always had a heavy clientele.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, how many hobby shops in just our little area here? I'm just like down the road from the hobby shop. How many hobby shops have come and gone in the 20 years, and it would always be fun. Are you worried? Oh, such and such just moved in down the street. Nope.
No, it's like I do what I do. I do me. You know what I mean? That's what it's like.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, you've had this thing, a big plus to your store. It's always been this way. I've always said this. Man, there's never an empty spot in the shelves. You fill that. You've always kept the store filled. And now with
friendliness too. That's
yeah. The very neat store.
You sit in the store there with me sometimes, and 90% of the people walk in the door, call me by name. They know me forever, and it's how many friends have we made? You and me,
right?
That
I've made friends because of the place. I don't think would have ever become friends with these guys, and now I've known them for 20 years.
Right, and that's the wonderful thing about a local hobby shop that so many people become friends. Because let's face it, we have a hobby that is not for the masses. I mean, it's not like something huge. So if a guy is sitting at home building models and he wants to get out to a friend, if you're lucky enough to have a model club in your city, great. But if you don't, how do you get all this together? How do you find like minds to find something to share ideas or just to talk about it? My wife likes modeling before this, and then you remember, you bring a model home, you go, look at this that I built, and they're like, oh, that's really cool. And then they go off and do something else because they're not into it. But and I get it. It's like, but you go show your friends, hey man, look what I'm working on, or look at this new technique I found, and that's what the hobby shop for us has been for us. So
it's excuse me there, and also it's like pretty much like the model car mafia. We're going on 2.5 years now. That club spawned in your store because of that. Everybody was there. When that collection was there, and I'm meeting all these new model car guys that I didn't even know were around, and they were. And you're like Chuck. That time Chuck comes walking in, plops a beautiful model on the table, and walks away. And I go, who is this guy? Oh, he's Chuck. He's been a regular customer. I never met him before that.
Yep.
And now Chuck and I we're great friends. And I've made some great friends out of that store.
Absolutely. I know that may sound cliche, but it is. The community that we form out of this is just is really cool to have. And
because there's the other hobby shop that I drive by every day to go to yours that I've talked about. That literally since you opened up, and that store has always been closer because I've lived in the same little area here. It's always been closer to me than your store, and I think I've honestly been in there 5 times since you opened.
Really?
And I would get one time because I had to get paint that you didn't have, and I came to your store and look what you made me do, and threw the receipt down. But I mean, the thing is Well, your store definitely has what I need a lot more. I mean, you're not just model kits, your supplies, and it also shows on your online store. You've always had a great bunch of tools. You're always checking out new stuff. You're always looking out. The new thing comes out. You grab, like, you just got these new paints from Ammo by Mig that are all the car colors.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait
And that's
to
the
try
other
those
thing
out.
too. When you mentioned about other supply, is like because I see them in back of you. There are
Yeah.
So we've reached out to. Now we have that the ability to reach out to manufacturers and say, hey, we want to have these cases made, or we had our nippers that we sold out of almost immediately.
Oh
our
my goodness, those
sharp
nippers are
and that we offer all these things at a great price. Yep, there you go, perfect. Yep.
The glue.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Glue, square glue bottle.
Yep, the square glue bottle. Yep.
I love these cases. They look great, man. My models, they stack real nice and sturdy, and
wow.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's a great design. It's great that you had that you have that ability. Not to mention, it's been really great for us locally. Like you said, you have all these distributors that you're close with now, and your connection to Europe is so tight that you've been able to get some really cool kits that a lot of we can't get in the U.S., like the bell kits, rally cars, and all those Fujimi Porsches that you keep getting, and I gotta buy them. Just those are usually hard to get a hold of, and you just been able to snag all that stuff up and just have a really great supply. Everything, all your Gundam is gigantic.
Yeah, we do a lot with Gundam.
You get a lot of Bandai and all that. So, but that's been the great thing about your store is you've always kept it so stocked with whatever the new thing was, you'd have it.
Yep.
And the friendliness. You go into the other store that I was talking about, and it's very, there's people just working there, and there's a grumpy old lady that's running the cash register. Nobody. You're in, you buy what you want, and you leave. And there, I go over to Andy's. Everybody always in the household here always go, well, you'll be gone for 5 hours.
Right. Nope, absolutely. So it's been a wonderful thing. And it's also given me the ability to travel a little more because, like this year alone, I'm going to try to attend more and more model shows. This year, right now, that we're planning on, I'm going to be next month up in Toronto area at in Hamilton, Ontario, at Heritage Con. It's one of Canada's biggest IPMS shows.
Yep.
And I'm excited to go there. It's in a hangar where one of two flying Lancasters are left in the world. So this is going to be really good. So I'm flying up there. My friend from Das Work will be up there, so we'll be representing Das Work in Andy's hobby headquarters. So we'll have our kits up there, all that kind of stuff. Then, of course, IPMS Nationals are coming up in Madison. We'll have our tables there that we'll be going to. And then I'm also very excited, not last minute because it's still ways away, but SMC, Scale Model Challenge, is one of the largest shows in all of Europe in Eindhoven, Netherlands. And I'm going to be going over to that one too. So
that's super cool.
It is. I'm excited to see the modelers, and especially like last year. Last year I got to go to some different shows, including the Tamiya show in Japan.
That was a big deal.
About YouTube has opened up a lot of doors that I get to do a lot of traveling now, and it's very funny. So there are a lot of them were speaking Japanese, obviously, as you'd expect, but they were like, Andy, I hear whispering, recognize, and I was walking through the streets of Kyoto. It's a very funny story. My wife and I and my friend Harold and his wife were all walking through. We go on vacations a lot of times together, and we're walking through, and this guy looks at me, and we're not near the Tamiya show now. We're a couple hundred miles away from the Tamiya show. And this guy's looking at me in this busy market, and I told my wife, I think he recognizes me because he's staring at me a lot. And he comes over to me and he goes, Andy. And I wasn't wearing an Andy shirt or anything like that. And it was a very cool experience that running into someone in Japan. And the exact same thing happened to me in Berlin too. I went to a Berlin hobby store there just to see if my stuff was in there. And the guy comes, "Hey, Andy!" And
oh, that had to be amazing for the shop owner then.
yeah, it's very cool to be because like once again, this is a small community, but to have that recognition, I should say, is humbling and very, very cool. I think I'm kind of in awe that happens to me. So
yeah, I think it's honestly, knowing you as long and hanging out as much as I hang out with you and the discussions that we've had over the years, I can tell everybody out there what you see here on YouTube, on his channel, going on all the podcasts that he's been going on before mine, and the way he is right now. This is really Andy. He's really like that. When you meet him at the shows, you're going to find he's just you're just a nice person. And I couldn't think of anybody else. I've known through my years a lot of hobby shop owners, and you definitely deserve this happening to you because you made the right thing with it. You made these connections, and because you're likable and you got all these great partnerships. Like you go into Japan, look at all the stuff you brought back. You got all those deals going with the tools and meeting all those different company owners and hobnobbing with Mr. Tamiya and Mr. Tamiya's son and Mr. Tamiya's.
Yeah, I got to meet all of them. That was a great thing. Yeah, I was sitting at a dinner that night, and at the table there were my friends from Toronto who own a big distributor up there. My friends from Germany with this distributor. Mig Jimenez is sitting right across from me.
Yeah,
we're all laughing and eating and some very unusual food.
Was it moving?
Some of it was. Some of it was moving, yes. And but I ate it, and all these guys, some of the guys who own some of the big model magazines in Japan, and there's like 18 of us at a table there, and I was just like, this is really happening to you right here. These are people that you would have never thought you'd get to meet or anything.
No.
They're all your buddies right now. In fact, there's pictures up on the wall. You probably can't see them back there of the night we had in Japan where I was with Mig, who is a darling of a human being. He's just a sweet, sweet guy.
Yeah, you've gotten to be good friends with him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And then, of course, like I said, Harold and Les, all these guys right here are just so many good people I've met in this industry. And I'm very, very happy and touched that it's just wonderful that it did get to happen.
It is. And I'm so grateful the fact that, I mean, I knew you when you were nothing.
Right.
And you're still nothing to me, but you haven't changed at all. But like I said, I'm so glad all this has happened, because the way I look at it is all this wonderful stuff that's happening to you. You have been able to bring, not just to me personally, and my hobby shop is like the best hobby shop to go to, by the way. So I got this great hobby shop that I can get anything I need anytime I want it. But also the fact is you are now put everybody here there has got opportunity. All the people in this town, but all over this country, have got the opportunity to get some really cool stuff at a really good price. Because that's another thing. You have always been one that your prices, you've always cut your prices to where you give a discount all the time. And you're doing that on your website. It's like a lot of stuff on your website it's cheaper than a lot of the other places. And
that's come from the benefit of being able to now deal direct with manufacturers. So.
And that's what it is. All this is giving you something, what you were talking about. That's so great that it happened to you. You have all these great friends, but it is benefiting all of us because of this connection that you created. Because not everybody can do that. You did it, and you're sharing it with the public, and everybody's making out good on that. Because I tell you, I had a buddy of mine and we were, he had never bought from you, and he's in an area where he can't get the supplies he needs, and we were both on your website talking on the phone because he's in New Hampshire. That's my buddy Jason, who's on my Scale Model Car podcast. was blown away by the amount of stuff you have available, the tools, all the different paints, and he's just waiting for you to get that one clear in, and he's going to put in a big order. And the way your shipping, how you have your shipping, it really works out great because you definitely want to go on there and shop and buy a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we have that flat rate shipping, so
yeah, so
and
your website is so incredibly easy to use.
And
I would use it if it was the fact that I can take a 3-minute drive and I'm at your store. So.
Absolutely. And our biggest problem right now is just getting product in, where it's like we go through stuff very quickly sometimes, and manufacturers can't keep up with production as much as we would like them to do. So, a lot of people started doing this hobby during COVID, and it hasn't really slowed down since.
The hobby blew up. It blew up, and all the companies are like, "Wow, we're not used to it like this." Like this Revell chrome paint. I finally got a can.
Right.
And how many shipments you've gotten in, and it's cool. And then when you get them, you get a large amount, and it still goes quick.
Very quick, yeah.
But your price is outstanding. And if we can get Chuck to stop drinking it, maybe I can get another can.
Right.
But it's been a fun ride of me being one of the closest observers of watching this happen from the day I walked in. You didn't know who the hell I was.
Right.
And you let me know, put me in my place. I'm still going to come to this guy because, you had I remember that you not only had, for just opening up, your shelves were stacked with everything, but you also had a whole bunch of vintage kits, and you weren't asking stupid prices.
No, and you know that I buy. That's one thing that my store does. That I'm sure I'm not the only one who does it, obviously. But in Phoenix here, that I buy the big collections, and you helped me. You've been my car guy. I've had 2 car collections in the last 2 years of 3,000 and 2,000 kits. And all of them are all completely sold out now because you're right. My thing is I got them in. You know what? There's probably another collection coming in the back of my mind, I think. So let's make these at a reasonable price and get them out the door and get people happy about it. So. Oh,
yes. I think someone wanted. Look who's here. Who's that? Oh, he's shying out. Oh gosh, those are, there goes the hat. Yeah, he's gonna start that now. Getting those collections, that was so fun. Thank you, sir. That was so fun, and we had such a blast with it. But you always had this philosophy too. It's like you don't you could go on eBay and sell these things for $50, $60. Not $20. Send it down the road. The next collection will come. Yep. And it's great because then everybody here locally just got the opportunity to get so many great kits and add to our collection.
Yeah, I see most of yours back there.
That's not most, my friend.
No, I should say some.
It's a tip. Yeah, you're definitely you're part of my problem. And every time you get these collections, and then it's just like, but you always have great kits in the store. So
it's amazing. I love getting the collections because it's such a blast to the past.
I know.
That I haven't seen sometimes in 30, 40 years.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like, he loves your instruction sheet.
Instructions, yes.
You want to say hi to Andy? Because say it.
Hey, Felix.
He's because he comes down when the collections are in, and you put him to work, and he loves that.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm leaving on Saturday, he always knows where I'm going. It's like he starts pouting. That's why I have to take him. So he has a ball there. He gets a bubble gum and a soda, and then he'll stack models on the shelf for you.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's really cool. I loved watching the Place Group. Was it 3 years or 4 years since you expanded the store?
It'll be it was Turned
I
out a good
remember.
time.
I remember that process.
It was November of 19, so it was spent a lot of money and a lot of expansion stuff, and got all this in, and then COVID hit a couple months later, and we had to close down. So
Yeah.
that was a scary moment, but that's the day that I expanded was the day that the website opened too. They corresponded with the grand opening of both. That luckily worked out, and then the online just went nuts. And then eventually we got to reopen again, and that has just been great ever since too. Because people miss that community again, like I keep talking about. They miss coming down and just getting out of the house and talking to their friends, and it's like how many times you do Zoom meetings for model builds because you want to talk.
Oh yeah, man, we had quite a few of them going there.
And there's a quick story that I've told before, but maybe many of you haven't heard. Is the cool thing that ever happened? This was a couple years back, probably just before COVID. But there was a guy in Australia he told me he bought one of my shirts, my T-shirts, the Andy's Hobby Headquarters one, and he was walking through the streets, and I can't remember. It must have been a fairly big city in Australia. And another guy came up to him on the street and goes, "Hey, I recognize that. I watched that same guy on model building." And they became modeling buddies after that.
That's so cool.
Two guys on the other side of the planet,
what a reach.
because they realized because of that symbol right there, they knew that it was something that they shared this hobby that, like I said, not a lot of people do, but it's fun to find the other ones.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was like in that 2018 IPMS Nationals when it was here in Phoenix. I mean, you almost didn't go, but you were there, and the amount of people. There were so many of these shirts walking around, and that's what got Harold to notice you. It's like, what a and he's a businessman. He's a businessman. He sees something that's good marketing. And everybody that was what was funny is that was when you had just got your silver play button too. You hit 100,000 subs.
Before that, I just hit 100,000 back in 18.
Yep, and that was it was amazing, and I know that was a shocker for you. It was fun watching that happen when you were set up at that booth and you were just there the whole day, and it was always loaded with people. I'd go over there and try to talk to you, and you were busy. You were real busy, but that was so cool. And so that's when it really kicked off. And then you've been going to shows now and seeing that. But
I love going to the shows. It's really when I get to talk to people. Sometimes it's hard when I'm at the store, when it gets busy. But with the shows, that's where you get to just really spend time with people. And that's why I say I'm going to try to do more and more shows each time. Those are obviously 3 big ones I mentioned earlier, but maybe even start to do some of the smaller local shows, in certain parts of the country. So always down with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And to see the other modelers and see the quality of work. And you and I talked about it, but when I was in Japan, it's funny how the Japanese didn't do it this way. It wasn't a contest. It was it was a
showcase.
It was showcasing. And I kind of like that in a lot of ways too, because the showcasing, there was no competition to get people like, oh, I can't tell you what I'm doing or anything here. They were everyone you walked up to. If you showed any interest, even though we didn't share the same language most of the time, they were kind of showing, let me show you what this stuff. Let me show you what this stuff.
Yeah.
Right here. And there are some incredible modelers in Japan.
Oh,
I mean, it is amazing. I saw things that I was like, what in the world? How did someone do this right here? It's
I've always looked at the Japanese modelers are just wow, the things that they do.
They are.
And now we're getting so much cool stuff from there.
Yep. So yeah, that's good. That's why I love going to the IPMS Nationals. You get to see everybody's great work there, and now I'm going to get to go to this European show. That's I've heard some incredible stuff that is going on there, and the cool thing is too now is I have a little, and I don't get all of them, but I keep little mementos of all the magazines that we show up in. And is pretty cool. Oh, that's my kid. I gotta buy that magazine. I gotta someone the gentleman who actually won a gold medal at SMC last year.
Yeah.
My Sherman kid. His name is
right.
John Murphy. And, oh my God, phenomenal job he built on that. And I've become friendly with him now online, and we're actually going to meet up over there when it gets
that's cool.
So yeah, anyone else that's going over there in October, I would love to meet you guys. If you're thinking about going to SMC, do it. And same thing with IPMS in Madison, and then of course all my Canadian. Actually, not even just Canadian. It's easy to get across the border from the Northeast to get up to Toronto. So
yeah, but that's a bit. I've been hearing a lot about that show. That's basically kind of Canada's IPMS nationals or regionals.
Yeah.
And there's I know a couple of friends. You'll probably be meeting my buddy Pat Redman.
Nice.
I'll make sure he comes up and introduces. And then you guys can both will have something to say about me.
Oh, of course. I have stuff to say as soon as you get off.
Oh yeah. And Pat will totally 100% agree with you.
Okay.
But yeah, that's so cool that you're getting out and doing that, and that's neat. People getting to meet you, and that's how you get your input. Know what's really great to put on the shelves, and get ideas for your models and what you want to do in the future. And it's but it's so cool. It's a cool story. That's why I wanted you to come on and really, talk about, I know the story. I watched a lot of it, the beginnings. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah, it has been a journey. It's been heck, it's kind of funny, when we met, and I remember you'd bring your little boy who was, I don't even think he was in kindergarten yet, and my daughter was like in first grade.
Yep.
And they're way off adults doing their lives now.
Yeah, my youngest son at the time would have been about four and a half, 5 when he started, and now he's off on his own. He's graduated college. He's out there, and
and look at the cool things he does for dad.
He helps his dad out a lot. He designs all the buttons that we do, the T-shirts I make, and he does it all on the side for me because he's got a regular job.
Yeah,
doing editing, and he's good at that stuff. And I say, hey Cam, I need you to work on this for me. And man,
he's the one who I'll never forget it. He was the one who came up with your little beginning of your Andy's Hobby headquarters.
Yeah, he's one.
That
he was
whole thing.
High school, just learning how to use a computer, and that's why that one's still on there. That little animation.
Oh, I would never take it off.
The box right behind you, the Andy's Hobby headquarters with the sprue. He designed all that stuff for me. Yep, that's all him.
I remember when you showed that to me and how you were gonna, do the let's get started, and then I says, man, that's like a PBS show. It was so well done, and that's what inspired me to do the one I do. So I completely ripped you off, and it was cool. I had a family member who wrote my music and did the logo and everything for me, and it was I just thought that was so neat what Cam came up with, and I said, oh, that the little Andy, mini Andy there, you got to brand that, and it's so cool you got it up on your store now. It's a part of your sign.
Yep.
And that was just, I thought that was such a cool brand.
It's recognizable for a lot of
it is. It's a
record. So
how many times do you get onto the Facebooks? Someone has come to the store and they do a selfie and they're pointing like this, and there's the sign. I made it. It's like, people take the journey. It's the Mecca.
Absolutely. Yep. I agree.
Modelers all over. Yeah, definitely.
Pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
And definitely. Like I said, I still am in awe sometimes that it's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's pretty cool. Well, Andy, I'm not going to keep you much longer because you are a busy guy. You're still at work. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm at the warehouse all day today doing a bunch of stuff here, and gives me a chance to do ordering and then new kit design. And I'm working on that M8 right now to give final approval because Chinese New Year is almost over. And once that's over, the factories go back turned on, and that's why that M8 should be out the door very, very, very soon.
That's going to be really cool. Yeah. I might have to get that kit and build it.
Yeah, it's a car. It's got the word car.
Yeah.
Right
Oh,
in
yeah.
it. Armored
Yeah.
car.
Totally. Totally. It is. It's very cool, man. The whole thing is neat. But yeah, the thing about you're at the warehouse every day in the morning, and
Yes.
you go to your store and work the store all day. I mean, you're just
Yeah,
going, and
other
it's
than
6 days a week.
6 days a week still right now. I am at the warehouse, so anyone who comes out and visit me, I'm usually at the warehouse on Wednesdays and Thursdays now because I
Yeah.
just need some time to actually, to do ordering and things like that. And we have a lot of new tools that we're doing ourselves now too.
Yeah.
A whole new
that's
line of tools that we'll have coming
cool.
out, and going through all the samples of that kind of stuff, and then little other things here and there. It's just, like I said, it's a lot of stuff, and I'm
Lot going
hands-on.
on.
I don't just turn it over to somebody else. I want to see it, feel it, approve it.
Nope.
So,
I've watched it, man. You're constantly everything. You're the idea guy, and you're just in the thick of it. And I come in. Oh, look at this new thing we're going to be doing. It's I
Right.
remember you were excited when this was all getting.
yeah, when
designed.
we had those finally made too, the holders.
That was, I loved it, and I used the heck out of mine. It saved me quite a few times. If I would just learn to keep screwing the cap on my extra thin, so I don't have to buy 5 bottles a year.
Well, at least you use extra thin rather than decal set to try to glue your model together.
Who would do that?
I don't know. I remember that. Do they all know that story?
Oh, everybody knows that.
Okay, yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'll put it at the end just to refresh everyone's memories. We got a few bloopers we could throw on there.
Absolutely.
But, Andy, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day doing this. This was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It's always fun to talk, but now, talk in front of a camera kind of different for us.
Yeah, there you go.
I embarrass every one of my guests.
I don't know. I don't watch your show at all, so I don't know.
I knew it. So you wouldn't know the sign off.
Well, let me think.
You don't watch this. Yeah.
Wait, it's keep gluing your models together with your hands not attached in a. Wait a minute. What is it? Keep gluing
people.
Keep gluing something. Keep gluing fingers together. Fingers. I don't use super glue very often, so that's why I wouldn't know that. No, keep gluing your fingers together. I knew it. I'm teasing.
Yeah, it's a CA glue thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Keep gluing your fingers together. And I literally forgot the rest of it right now.
That's good enough for me.
I knew what it was, and my brain.
Hey, here, I'll tell you the secret. It's and keep cutting that styrene.
Oh, and keep cutting that styrene.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
If I was a nice guy, I'd splice it all together and make it sound like you knew it all. But I'm not that nice. I'm not that nice. I'm going to show the truth. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And everybody, you guys, go build a model because it's fun.
And check out my website. Check out my website, hhq.com.
Yeah. Wow. We forgot almost the most important thing. Why don't we do that? Hold on a second. Go back, reverse. Here we are. Before we sign off, I want Andy to say all the stuff that you do this for a living. Come on. Promote your product.
Everything's Andy's Hobby Headquarters, the store, the website, and all my model kits. But the website we shorten. We don't want people to have to punch all of that into a search bar. Just put Andy's, ANDYSHHQ.com, and that'll bring you right to our website right there. So
yeah, and if you haven't been on there, I highly recommend it. Not just to buy model kits. He has got the greatest supply of paints and tools and glues and putties and what. You got it. The place is packed. I've seen the warehouse. It's gigantic. They're overflowing. They got to get a bigger place. So, help them get rid of some of that stuff.
We have actually outgrown this place right here.
Yep.
We're looking for bigger area.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so awesome. That's awesome for us in the hobby to know that the hobby is growing and doing that well. So it ain't dying.
Nope, not at all.
All right. Well, we'll sign it off here now. Thanks a bunch and Here's the producers. Well, hello, my fellow caramellers. How are you doing today? We got an echo. I'm hearing. Well, hello, my fellow caramellers. How are you doing today? Wow, we got a special guest on this. Wow, I forgot the name of my podcast. Okay, what is it called? It's called Model Car Hobby. Yeah, take 3. Model Car Hobby podcast.
You should put that in the bloopers at the end.
I probably will. I most definitely will.